6 months ago, I decided to start my YouTube channel, and I was really motivated at the moment. I thought like, okay, I'm really gonna build this like cult-like following. I'm gonna do everything in my power in 2 years' time to reach this great goal of mine. And yeah, I remember just pumping out a video every day in the beginning with full motivation. I was staying up till late in the evening. I remember one time not even sleeping. The first few days. Just working all night long. And at that point, I remember just getting my first 300 views on a video, and it was like my fifth video, and I was so motivated to keep going. But to be honest, 6 months in now, my motivation is starting to go down. I even contemplated on, okay, do I want to continue on this journey? And this is basically this block of motivation is keeping me from really continuing right now, and like really pushing to the max. So it's basically stopping myself from reaching my goal at the moment. So I think everybody experienced something like this. You have this great motivation in the beginning to actually like make it fucking work, and after a few months, weeks, your motivation just starts to plummet. Maybe you want to start university, right? You want to start a new study and actually complete that 4-year study, but just after a year you have no motivation to keep going, but you have to, because you have to put in like 40 hours a week to even make it, right? And you have to. It's very hard to do the work if you don't really have any motivation left. And I've never been a guy with a lack of motivation. I always had loads of motivation, but for the first time in my life, really, I'm feeling a lack of motivation right now. But I'm gonna continue. But a very important question we can ask ourselves is like, why does this happen? Why do we begin with a lot of motivation and end up with a lack of motivation? So I thought to myself, okay, maybe one reasons might be because you ran into some problems. In the beginning, it all seems like such a great experience, such an easy thing to do. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go to university. Oh, I'm just gonna start this business. It sounds great and all, and I'm gonna be this great guy who has this whole business, and you will visualize this dream outcome, but you don't visualize the problems which you're gonna run into, because you are gonna run into some problems on your road. If you study, if you start with a business, you're gonna run into some problems, and problems are hard to solve. So whenever you are at a low point, you will feel a lack of motivation. It's a result of being on a low point. Or you might feel the urge to just quit, right? You might feel the urge to just go to another business model, and yeah, that's one point you can feel a lack of motivation. So yeah, one thing I can say is just push fucking through, because life is gonna throw some curveballs at you. Life is gonna throw some hardships at you, and when you're able to overcome these hardships, then you're able to grow, and then I think your motivation will actually like return, right? So, and just after a while, you just forget why you wanted this in the first place. You're so, in the trenches of doing the work. You're so like, for example, you're, doing affiliate marketing, and you're pumping out content every day, and you're so in the trenches. You're currently figuring out how to solve certain problems, but you just forget why you wanted this certain thing in the first place, and therefore you can also feel a lack of motivation. So yeah, my question is to you and also to myself, like, how do you get your motivation back? So yeah, I researched a bit online, and because I think this is a very important thing also to solve for myself, because like this is the very first time I'm actually like struggling to keep my motivation. So one thing I'm suggesting is that look at the road which you've already taken, right? Just look at what you've already achieved here, because you might feel you might be 2 years into your studies and you can quit because you have a lack of motivation, or you can look back at those 2 years and the work you've put in, because those 2 years are 2 fucking years of your life. And if you quit halfway, those 2 years are wasted, because you don't get any paper, any degree for finishing your degree halfway, for quitting halfway. You don't get anything. And that's the same with starting your business. If you've wasted 6 months on the YouTube channel and you just quit, you don't get any benefits. You don't get anything. You've wasted your life. Maybe you've built some skills, right? You've built some talking skills, some studying skills when you go to university, things like this. But most of the time it's wasted. So think about the road which you've taken. So maybe like one of the reasons why you are feeling like quitting right now, the reasons why you don't have motivation, is because you don't have enough discipline. So in the beginning you have a lot of motivation, right, to do a certain thing, because you think about that dream outcome, that great dream. But after a while it just dwindles. So after a while you don't need motivation anymore. So you should have discipline after a while. After a while, you should have discipline to keep going. So because I think after a while, motivation is not necessarily the thing that's going to keep you going. I think discipline is the thing that's going to keep you going every day. Of course, you still want to achieve that goal, but you don't have the exact same motivation as in the beginning. That's when like discipline comes in, and just doing the thing, even if you don't feel like doing it, That's a very interesting one. And one thing I would suggest you do is write down your goals on a piece of paper. Make it specific, with a specific amount of, money, a specific time period, and just promise yourself that you are gonna achieve that goal no matter what, and write it down on paper. And what you do is you just hang that paper on your door, and every day when you go out of your room, when you go through that door, you just read that goal out loud. And this way you're basically training your mind to stay motivated and to basically don't forget your goals, because that's the reason why you're doing this thing. So that's a great way to basically positively reinforce your brain. That's like a psychological manipulation, basically. You can basically manipulate your brain into thinking, just making it the reality. Because if you're constantly thinking about it every day in a positive way, you're really gonna achieve it. But if you think about it in a negative way every day, like, oh fuck, I don't like it, I'm not gonna achieve it, I want to quit right now. If you think about it, if you tell yourself these bullshit coping things, if you tell yourself this every day, you are eventually not gonna achieve it, because you will train your mind into thinking you're a loser, into thinking you don't want that thing. But you actually do want that thing. But just because it's hard right now at the moment doesn't mean you don't want it in the long run, right? It means you should just push through. So one other way is visualize the end goal. And not just, because in the beginning you're always visualizing it, right? In the beginning you always think, yeah, I'm going to start this great business. I'm going to do that, I'm going to build this great physique. But after a while, when you're just doing it, you don't really visualize it anymore. You're in the trenches so deep that you don't even think about it anymore. And one way to get your motivation back might be to visualize your end goal. Just after you've meditated each day, just take 2 minutes of your day sitting in solitude and just thinking about the great things you're gonna achieve, how great it's gonna feel when you finally build that great physique, the girls you're gonna attract and the confidence you're gonna gain, Think about all these benefits which you will actually get when you reach that end goal. And just thinking about this will actually make your mind way happier, and way more positive. And that's a great thing, One other thing I would really like to say, that's a very important one, which I've also struggled with, is don't switch lanes. Don't switch plans. Don't switch businesses. Because so many people, for example, they go to university and they decide after 1 year or 2 years that they don't like the study, that they don't have the motivation right now. And that other study, that it seems really nice right now because just because you are running into some problems now, these other routes you could take seem way more interesting. But these routes, that other study, that other business model, they don't have the same problems, but they do also have problems. These are just other problems which you are gonna run into. I know some guys, when I studied, right, they tried 3 or 4 different studies. Some guys, they spent 5 years on university and then they're just still in the first grade, right? And they have to start all over again. It's like fucking retarded. Because if you actually switch lanes, you have to start all over again. Just imagine yourself like working on a business right now. Working on a business like for 1 year straight. You achieve great things, but you are not there yet. You run into some problems and at that moment you really lack motivation. You're really thinking about quitting. You're on your lowest moment, and at that moment you see this great new business model which is actually using AI, so you won't have to work that hard anymore, and you might think to yourself, oh yeah, let me just switch lanes, right? Because that business model is way better, but that business model actually has the same fucking problems. And by the way, you've just wasted 1 whole year working on your current business if you actually switch. So that's one reason why you shouldn't switch and stay with your current business model no matter what. Okay, if you just wasted 3 weeks, okay, then you can still switch, I would say. But if you're half a year in, 6 months, 1 year, you shouldn't switch. So yeah, it might take a while to get your current motivation back, because just doing one of those things, visualizing your end goal or writing down your goal is not gonna help you directly. It's not gonna impact your life directly. Oh yeah, the next day I will be much happier. I will have all my motivation back. That's not how it works. It will actually take you a few weeks to get your motivation back. But I do think that it's not impossible to get your motivation back for that great goal which you actually want to achieve. And I'm positive that if you are just gonna push through, keep improving yourself, keep improving your business, then you are eventually gonna achieve success. You're eventually gonna make it, But the reason why so many people don't make it is because they quit after a few weeks, after a few months, maybe even after a year, because they are losers, they are defeatists, they accept defeat, and we don't accept defeat. We push through. We are better than 90% of men, right? Spartans, prepare for glory.